Hi there, I'm Virginia Lindsay of Ginger Cake Patterns and Design, and today I want to talk to you about one of our favorite topics in sewing, and that is fabrics. When you go to the big store like the Joann's or the Hobby Lobby, it can be really overwhelming with the humongous selection of fabrics, and then especially when you shop online, it just can be too much especially when you're a beginner sewer and just trying to kind of create your stash, get some basic things going. So today I want to walk you through the things that I find myself using again and again. It's 6 different materials that I always come back to, and I think it'll be a great way for you to get your stash ready for endless numbers of projects with these few materials that you can kind of come back to again and again. But first, I want to introduce you to my sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions of people come and learn all sorts of new things, from crafting to web design to illustration to productivity, and it is a great place to start your next step on your creative journey. The class that I'm taking right now is called Easy and Versatile Baking, the One Yeast Dough You Need to Know by Julia Turshen. And I'm just going to give you a little view of that class and let you see what I'm talking about. So let's watch that now. So here's a little preview of what the class looks like. She teaches you this recipe for this one dough, a yeasted dough, and then how to make a bunch of different recipes with that dough. So I'm excited to try it. For a limited time, you can use the link in my description below to get a free trial of Skillshare's premium membership, which I would highly recommend. There's thousands of classes. Most are less than an hour, and they're really short little lessons, and they all include a class project. Okay, let's talk fabric selection. When I began sewing, and I feel like this is a place that many people begin sewing, you want to make something like curtains, or you want to cover those dining room chairs that, your dining room chairs that you can screw off. And the place to begin there is in the home decor fabric. Usually home decor fabric, here is the one I chose to show you. You can see it's usually a nice bright fabric. You can of course get more muted ones, but you want to always choose home decor for those specific projects, like your drapes and your covers on your dining room chairs, or also if you're going to make some throw pillows for your couch. If you're just going to make real basic ones, you want to go ahead and go to the home decor area. But the weave is usually a little looser, meaning like when you look at the back of it, you can really see how the weave is loose. It's thicker, it's like a little heavier and sturdier, and then the colors can be really vibrant with bold prints, and this is great to be used in those places. I've also used it to make some bags, like when I make my bucket bag. I've used home decor fabric for things, or you can sometimes use it in other places. But the drawback to home decor fabric is it doesn't wash really well. It can be washed, but it really likes to be dry cleaned even more. So you don't want to use it on something you can foresee washing regularly. The drawback of home decor fabric is it's usually a little bit wider. It's 54 inches. Which is nice because you can do a lot with a 54-inch piece of fabric, nice and wide. And the selection is great. And when you go to the big store or to a store that carries home dec, you'll just be really wowed by all your choices. It's usually pretty expensive. I mean, home decor fabric is usually $20 to, it can be as much as $40 or $60 a yard, depending on how nice it is. And so you're getting up there, and a lot of like fancy home decorators use that really nice home decor to create really beautiful pieces. So that's home decor fabric. You should have some in your stash if you want to start out by making yourself some curtains or covers for your dining room chairs or things like that. The next thing that and this is really what I have so much of with the way that I sew, is quilting cottons. And I don't really quilt all that much, but I love quilting cottons. They are vibrant, beautiful fabrics, almost always 100% cotton. And they come, you know, you can get your solids, your prints, your little prints. They're extremely versatile. You know, you can use them for bags, like tote bags that are going to be washed regularly by kids. You can, certain ones that are really lightweight, you can make little skirts and dresses for kids. I wouldn't recommend like the thicker stuff doing that. You can make patchwork, you can make quilts. You can do all sorts of great things with quilting cotton. And I love to mix and match quilting cottons and use my scraps to make stuff. So I have a ton of quilting cotton. I mean, zipper pouches to like I make my animal pillows, like my Lola owl pillow that I'll show you, you can look at right there. I use quilting cotton for that, and it's such a fun, easy fabric to have and very versatile for learning how to sew. So I would suggest having quite a bit of that in your stash if you're going to get more into sewing. Next is knit fabric. I really don't use tons of knit fabric, and then it took me a while to kind of get my courage up to use it because it can be tricky. And this is one of the things that, this is a real cheap knit fabric that I bought from the big store, and this is really hard to sew with if you're new to sewing. You have to press it a bunch. You have to maybe even spray some starch on there because it curls really easily, and it's very, very stretchy. So if you are going to sew with knit fabrics, what I've learned is that you get yourself a quality knit fabric. You're going to want to spend more than a few bucks in the bargain bin at Walmart or at Joann's. You want to go ahead and buy the nicer knit fabric to do your projects, and you will find that sewing with knits really is a breeze. This is like a 100% cotton organic Cloud 9, so you don't have to go that far, but this is like the easiest knit to sew with. You wouldn't believe how nice things turn out when you have a nice knit. And so you can make, you know, I make little dresses for my daughters. You can make little pajama bottoms, all sorts of good things. But if you're going to go with knits, go ahead and get a high quality 100% cotton, or sometimes you can get a blend, but make sure that you can feel that one. Like I would go to the store and be able to feel it first. So knit fabrics are essential in your stash, a few of them. Next, I like to have some canvas and duck cloth. These are a heavier weight fabric and they're washable. They're different they're a tighter weave than the home decor. So, but I love to like line my bags with these. I like to have this sturdy fabric. I use it for lining in all sorts of projects. This is just like a natural canvas, it's called, and I've used this same type of fabric so many times. I've written on it with Sharpie to have inside of inside of bags. It's not very expensive. I mean, it's not super cheap, but it's maybe $7 or $8 a yard, and usually it comes in the nice wide length of 54 inches or more, 60 sometimes. So a nice canvas, you can get it in all sorts of colors. Make sure it's a nice cotton canvas, not super duper heavy that can be too hard to sew with, but a canvas is nice. And then I also usually will have some duck cloth, which is, you don't wash duck cloth because it has kind of a natural water resistance. So that's also great for a bag that maybe you're not going to wash, but it's really easy to sew with. It's nice and stiff. It's great for kind of adding some weight and strength to bags and different things, little totes and things. So duck cloth, canvas, they're kind of interchangeable. Canvas is a little softer and duck cloth is a little stiffer, but really fun to add some weight and kind of that little bit more professional look to your fabric. So that's really it for the actual fabrics that I use, those 4 fabrics. I mean, I have some other odds and ends here, but that's basically it. So the other thing I always have in my area is cotton batting. I usually get the warm and natural cotton batting. I'll buy it by the yard, or sometimes if I'm just running to, Walmart or something, or I don't want to wait in line for them to cut the big, if I don't want to haul that big bolt of fabric over, I'll buy the queen size or even the twin size of the cotton batting. That's over in the batting section. Just get yourself some of it, and you can use it for all sorts of things. You can have it be the base of your bags. You can have it just be some extra cushion and things. It can be all sorts of, like when you make a wallet and you want something a little like padded, you just add a layer of this, and it's great. I always have it on in my stash. It's super easy to sew with. You go right through it. It doesn't distort things. It kind of has a quality about it that kind of makes your fabric stick together. I actually have a quilt underneath this one that I need to go ahead and put together for a friend. But so cotton batting, I use Warm and Natural, but I think Pellon makes one. A lot of different people make them, and it's really nice. It's not super cheap, but a little bit goes a long way because it is very wide. You can get, I think it's 92 inches or something like that. So worth the investment. And the last thing that I always have is interfacing and stabilizer. So that can also be something that's very intimidating when you go into the store and you see that big shelf full of all sorts of different interfacings. Like, what in the world am I going to do in this area? Well, I basically just stick with one, and it is the Pellon 931 TD, and I use this in like every single one of my projects. Sometimes I double it up if I want extra stiffness, like in the train case pattern that I have. And then sometimes, and when you wash it, it does get a little softer if you're going to, wash something. Like, I've used it in my kids' lunch boxes for school, which I wash, maybe a couple times a month or something, or more often if their lunch gets really dirty. And so it softens a little, but it remains pretty nice and stiff. And that's just basically all I use. I don't bother with messing around with the other ones. I basically just go straight for the 931 TD. That's my favorite interfacing. You can do tons of projects with it. That's what I would recommend. And then the other thing that I've been using a lot more in recent years, and it's a little bit less expensive, is the stabilizer number 40. And this one does not have the fusible, meaning you have to, the 931 has this like little glue layer, and you use your iron and it adheres. It kind of makes your fabric, it sticks to your fabric and becomes one with your fabric. I use it a lot on my quilting cottons, but this one is really nice because you can have that option. But if you're a little bit more experienced and you kind of want to skip that step, then you can use this stabilizer. It's a little bit thicker. It gives even more of a kind of a sturdy feel, and you have to either baste it or just pin really well, and it'll be your layer. And so there are several projects that I actually prefer this stabilizer, and it doesn't have the glue, kind of the adherence. You just have to add it into the bag. So that is it, you guys. I mean, this is, I basically do all my sewing with these few materials. I don't bother messing around with like the cuddly minky fabric or the terry cloth or and a big part of that is because of what I like to make. I mean, if you decide that you want to get into making clothing and things, then that's a whole different world of fabrics. But if you're just doing kind of small things, little scrappy projects, little quilts, little bags, this is all you need. And you can use some knit fabrics to make cute skirts, little dresses for your kids, stuff like that. You can just keep it simple, have these things. Maybe you prefer to find a different stabilizer you really like. A lot of people like the SF 101. That's a 100% cotton fabric stabilizer interfacing. But this is basically what I like, and I think you can get really far with just these basic things. So please give me your tips down below. You guys know I love that. And subscribe to the channel for more videos. And I will see you next time. And don't forget to check out my sponsor, Skillshare. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.